Welcome back to Sprouting Spoon's virtual cooking class. Today we're going to be making a chicken noodle soup, and we're going to be doing it bird to bowl. For today's class, you're going to need a small chicken. Ours is going to be about 2 to 3 pounds. Then we have about a 2-inch piece of ginger, 1 clove of garlic, a little tiny bay leaf over here, a stick of celery, 1 large carrot, a very large onion, about a cup and a half or so of pre-made noodles, and then we have a whole bunch of water we're going to be using too. So when we start with our chicken, we're going to make sure it's nice and thawed for us so we don't freeze our hands. And the first thing we're going to do is reach in and grab any of the extra little goodies that they've packed inside. On this one we just have our neck, which is going to be full of a lot of flavor, so we're going to go ahead and just put that in a pot for later that we're going to be making our stock out of. Then we're going to take it off of our bowl and we'll remove our wings. You can see right here that where the wing meets into the breast, we're going to pop that out of socket just a little bit. Ooh, wrong one. And then we're just going to take our knife and go right down that little split, and you can find where the bone starts to come out, and just take your knife down in there and separate it out. And then you have one of your 2 wings off. We're going to go ahead and put that in the pot too. Then we're going to repeat to the other side. Like I said, pop it out a little bit, and then just find where it meets and run your knife right in. Be very careful. There we go. And there's your second wing. At this point, we have the thigh and leg still attached, as well as both of the breasts, and we're going to find where that extra little loose skin between the leg and the breast is going to be. We're just going to take our knife and cut through the skin a little bit, loosen that up, and pop a couple more joints out a little bit. And you'll see this white line right here that we'll go ahead and take our knife right down, and that should separate the leg and the thigh. We're just going to save those for later because they're my favorite part. And then we're going to take this side and do the same exact thing. Just a couple slices there, and then you see this little white line right where the bone connects in. I'm just going to slide down, and it should just pop off. Like so. There we go. I was on the wrong side of the bone. We're just going to set that one aside too. Now we're stuck with the chicken back, although it's the same process as a turkey, and we have the 2 breasts. In the very center, you're going to see a light little line there. Maybe, well, we can take the skin off a little bit, and we see this little line here. That is going to be where a bone is, and that'll separate the 2 breasts from themselves. So we'll take our knife, very delicately slice into it a little bit. And we should end up on one side or the other of the bone, and we'll just keep slicing down that, and it will come off. You'll eventually hit the rib cage, and you'll just follow that around, and that will save off one of your 2 breasts. From where we took the wing off earlier, there may be a little bit of cartilage or a bone. You can just go and cut that off. It's no big deal either way, but probably not the best thing to eat. Just get rid of that. Actually, we can put that in our pot to make our broth. And we're just going to do the same thing on the other side. Let's remove some of the skin. It's a little wet, but it's okay. And we already have where we started cutting earlier. Just slide onto the other side of that bone and just slide down like so. And it just comes off super easy like that. And again, find where you attached, where the wing was kind of attached. Make sure you get any of that extra cartilage off, and go ahead and throw that in your pot for your soup. Then you have your other breast, which we'll save off to the side. And then you're stuck with this mass of bones and a little bit of meat on there. That is the back and the rib cage. That is what we really wanted to make our broth with. So we're just going to go ahead and add it into our pot that we have our wings. And we'll go ahead and top it off with water and boil it for about 3 or 4 hours. And then we can add any of our vegetable scraps and anything like that to make it really nice and flavorful. And then we'll go ahead and cut up all of our vegetables. So after you've deboned the chicken, we're going to dice up a chicken breast. You could use the thigh if you'd like, but we're going to use the breast just because it was easily accessible and we don't have to worry about taking any more bones out. So we're just going to cut long little strips out of it, like so, and then cut it up into little bite-sized pieces. I'm going to take 2 at a time. So after you have all your chicken all diced up, we're going to go ahead and put it on a plate for later. So before you start cutting up all of your vegetables, it's very, very, very important that you go ahead and take a moment and wipe down all your cutting boards and change out your knives and anything like that that's come in contact with the chicken. So make sure you wash your hands, as we've all been doing lately throughout this whole coronavirus episode. But we want to make sure that we're all clean before we start cutting up anything that might not cook as long as the chicken needs. That way we know we're nice and clean and not going to get anybody sick. So we're going to start with our carrot. We just have a simple, large, hefty carrot and our vegetable peeler, and we're just going to go ahead and hopefully get all the scraps into a bowl, because we can throw this all into our soup and make it extra tasty beyond just all that chicken bits that we threw in there. So again, just peel it so it's all nice and good into our little bowl, and we're going to chop off one end and the other. No worries, we didn't hit the ground or anything. And we'll just save that for a little bit. And then in our soup, we're going to just go ahead and make little tiny rounds. I like to do it where I lay it one way, cut a little bit, turn it about a quarter, keep going so I get these nice little triangular pieces, so you get a nice hefty piece of carrot. And they all end up being about the same size. Again, I'm only turning it about a quarter of the way. You can also just cut it into little rounds, that's completely fine. Whatever you like. I just like having a nice big piece of carrot in there. And one more probably. See how they're all about the same size? We're going to set that off to the side. And we'll go ahead and take our celery, which I've already trimmed the ends, which can go in your soup as well. But we're going to just go ahead and cut it in half, get the peeler out of the way, because we're all done there. We're going to slice just into it a little bit, make more like you're going to dip those in a little dip, which would be tasty. And we're just going to cut a few more, like so. Line them all up so we have nice big sticks. We're just going to run our knife through, getting roughly even pieces, like so. Bit, and we can set that off to the side. And then we've got our onion over here, our normal root end and the top end. We're going to just slice off the top, snip off the root a little bit. It's a little gross in there, so we're just going to go ahead and cut a little deeper maybe. There we go. Get rid of that part that looked a little strange, probably just a little extra root, but it's okay. And then we're going to take all of the scraps, the tops and the bottoms. We're going to go ahead and put it in with our carrot peels. That'll go into our stock later. That will be, because the flavors will dissipate a little bit faster on these as opposed to the chicken, but it'll add a lot to your broth. Then we're going to go ahead and slice our onion straight in half, and then we're going to take off the outer layers here, like so. We can save these for the stock as well. You don't like the thought of those little papery pieces going into your beautiful chicken soup, you can absolutely take those out now, that's fine. But I don't think it hurts anything, and it's a little bit of a struggle to get rid of them. So we're going to then take 1/2 of our onion, doesn't really matter which one, and we're just going to cut it in half and then break it down. This is just going to go into our soup and flavor it. So we can put that in the bowl with all of our scraps. That's why it's important to have a really large onion here. And then the other onion, we're going to just go ahead and slice into it, getting pretty decent sizes. I'm thinking maybe it'll be about 1/4 inch or so, maybe a little smaller. So we now have all these little lines sliced into it. We're just going to go ahead and slice straight down on that, like so, till it's all the way through. If you have any big pieces that are clumping together like that, it's okay to just run your knife in it a couple times, get them a little smaller. No one wants a giant spoonful of onion. You can put that off to the side, and then this big chunk right here, you guessed it, we're just going to add into our soup later on. So we'll go ahead and put that in with all of our carrot scraps and onion pieces. And then we have a large piece of garlic. If you only happen to have a small cloves, go ahead and use 2, but the garlic I had was awfully hefty, so we're just going to use 1 today. I'm just going to slice into it awfully thin like that, just like the onion. Then we're going to turn it to its side and maybe do 1 straight down, just so they're a little smaller. And we're going to dice it up like so. Beautiful. And just kind of cut up the root end a little bit more like that. You can go ahead and just move that in with the onion. They like to be friends, right? And then we've got our ginger. It's going to be about 1 inch by 1.5 inches to 2 inches or so, is the piece that I'm using today. But if you like a lot of ginger spice in it, use more. If you're not a huge fan, use less. So for this, we're going to go ahead and avoid peeling it at the moment. We're just going to go ahead and square it off by going around like so, just to go ahead and make peeling easier. I'm going to nip off the end here. And all of this scrap pieces we're going to go ahead and just add into our broth bowl, just like everything else we've been doing. And that'll be nice and tasty. And then we're going to go ahead and cut a couple large planks out of here. I find that ginger is very nice in the soup because it kind of really wakens up all the senses. And what do we love about chicken noodle soup? It just makes us feel good and feel at home. So that's why I use quite a bit of it. So we've got our nice stacks, which we'll cut into little tiny batons like so. And we'll go ahead and turn these all facing the same direction and slice into it like so. And that can move in with the ginger and garlic, and we'll just repeat with this other stack over here. I said ginger and garlic, I meant onion and garlic though, so it's okay. And then we'll just put this all together. Like so. And then we'll just go ahead and let this all hang out and be friends until our soup is boiled for about 2 or 3 hours. And then we'll go ahead and add in all of our vegetable scraps. So after we have boiled our chicken for about 2 hours, we're going to go ahead and add in our vegetable scraps and our bay leaf that we forgot about earlier. And as you've been cooking the chicken bones for a little bit, if you notice the water level has gone down quite substantially, you're more than welcome to add a little bit more water just to make sure that the bones stay nice and covered and you don't end up scorching your pan. So we're just going to go ahead and add that in and then let that cook for about another hour or so. So bay leaf and our veggie scraps. Just right in on top. And then if we need to, we're just going to top off with a little bit more water just to make sure everything is nice and covered. We'll see you in about another hour. So it's been about an hour now, and our stock is nice and flavorful, so I've gone ahead and strained it off of the bones. We've discarded the bones and all the vegetable scraps, but you can really see that the carrots have lent a lot of color to it. And now we're going to go ahead and take our empty pan and saute our chicken in just a little bit of butter. And once that's all browned up, we're going to add in our vegetables. So we'll just add in a little bit of butter, and we're going to get that pan nice and warm. And we'll toss in our chicken and let that sizzle away. So once your chicken is browned, we're going to add in our carrots, onions, ginger, garlic, and celery. So pretty much all of your vegetables. Give it a nice stir and let them cook down and get all nice and juicy and tender. So once your onions have gone translucent, we're going to add in all of the stock that we poured off from before. We're just going to let that simmer together for about 20 minutes or so until your carrots are nice and tender. And we're going to add in our noodles. So we've been simmering for about 15 to 20 minutes. Our carrots are nice and tender. And we're going to add in about 1.5 cups to 2 cups, whatever you prefer, of thin noodles. If you want to make your own, you're more than welcome to, but we're going to just use some pre-bought ones that we have and stir them around. We're just going to cook this until they're nice and tender as well, and then we're good to go. So our noodles have boiled for about 5 minutes or so, and now while I ladle this up, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and even leave us a comment. Share it around. Let all your friends know how great we are, or whatever. And I'm going to take a big bite of this. Ooh, be careful, it's going to be really hot. It already smells like Grandma's house. That ginger just really opens up the senses and reminds me of being sick as a kid, but not in the bad way, the nice, homey, comforting way. So we'll catch you next time. Thanks for stopping in.